Hey again everyone. For today's video I'm going to be making some Bran muffins. Actually I'm going to be making muffins 3 ways. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things that my mom made was Bran muffins using this all Bran cereal from Kellogg's. And I realized that I've never made this for my kids. And it was one of those things that I thought, this is good for you, and they don't know it. So I think I'm going to make them. And I tried it, and within just a few hours they were completely gone. So I decided today I'm going to triple the recipe, and I'm going to do the original, just the plain Bran muffins, and then I'm going to add on add things to 2 separate portions of it, and I'll show you that soon. So just to make the original, oh, there's my oven preheating. You have to preheat your oven to 400. Just to make the original muffins, you're going to need Kellogg's All Bran cereal, milk, flour, sugar, 1 egg, vegetable oil, baking powder, and salt. Now, I like to, anytime I'm baking, I add a little bit of buttermilk to things. So I'm going to add some buttermilk. And because I'm adding buttermilk, I want to add just a little bit of baking soda in addition to the baking powder. So I'm going to get the basic ingredients together. And remember, this is going to be tripled. So I will show you all of that stuff, and then we'll go from there. Oh, and also on my muffin tins, I always use the liners. Let's see, here they are. I always use the liners, and sorry, my muffin tin looks awful. And then, there we go. And then I spray the inside of the liner, with vegetable oil spray or canola oil spray, because I have a really hard time with things sticking in here, and then they'll also stick to the papers. So I just always fill this up with my liners and then spray them, and I'll show you all that. So I'm going to start with the first steps, and we'll go from there. Okay, here's the first step. You take 2 cups of the Bran cereal per recipe that you're making. So this is actually 6 cups of the cereal, and you put it in a bowl and you put your milk over it. The basic recipe is 1.25 cups of milk. I use about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of buttermilk, and then finish it off with milk. So I did that 3 times, and you're supposed to let this sit until it softens. It says about 2 minutes, but because there's so much in here, I'm probably going to let it sit a few more minutes. So just enough to soften the cereal. And just an FYI, I got the 18.3 ounce box of the All Bran cereal, and this made 4 recipes. I had the one that I used the other day, and then this was perfectly 6 cups. So 1 box will get you these muffins 4 times. I don't remember how much the cereal was, but I will probably get some more the next time I go to the store, because the kids really liked these so much. Ron even liked them too. So in fact, he was scarfing them up too. But I thought that was very interesting that it was exactly 6 cups for this recipe, and I used 2 cups the other day. So 1 box will get you 4 recipes. Okay, so you let this sit for a few minutes, and then you mix up the dry ingredients. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, here are my dry ingredients, and normally if you do any baking, you know that sugar is considered a wet ingredient when you're making cakes and cookies and things like that, but not when you're making muffins typically. You mix that with the flour, and that's considered a dry ingredient. And you do not want to mix muffins too much because it develops the flour, the gluten in the flour, and it just doesn't turn out really well. That's why you will see recipes say just mix just until they come together. Same thing for pancakes and anything that's like a quick bread. Cornbread is the same way. Now cakes are a little different. You want to mix that together, but for muffins, just once the flour goes in, once the flour hits the liquid, you'll want to do as little mixing as possible. So in my bowl, I have, I'll give you the regular recipe ingredients, keeping in mind that this is multiplied by 3. It's 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm sorry. 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And for my 3 recipes, because I am using buttermilk, I added about a teaspoon, a little scant teaspoon of baking soda in addition to the baking powder, and that just is going to help it react. The baking soda will react with the buttermilk, and it will help them rise and be a little bit lighter. Okay, so I'm just going to whisk this all together until everything is incorporated, and then I will do the next step. So I'll be right back. Okay, in this bowl I have, it should be 1/4 cup of vegetable oil and 1 egg, and so I have tripled that. So I have my 3 eggs and 3/4 cup of vegetable oil, and you see it looks a little milky. I just used the same measuring cup to measure the oil that I used to measure the milk. So just wanted to explain that. And you see one of my farm fresh eggs from my dad in there. I don't usually use those to bake. I'd rather fry those. Oh, I'm making a big old mess. I'm going to wait and do this off camera because I'm making a big mess. But I just boiled the last of my eggs except for 2, and I'm going to the store tomorrow, so I had to use the farm egg from Dad. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to whisk this up off camera. Normally, you would probably be just fine to add the oil and the egg directly to the cereal mixture, but because it's so much of this, I wanted to get this really well incorporated before I tried to add it to this, because this is going to be a lot. So let me whisk this, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've added my eggs to the cereal, and you can see how creamy the cereal mixture has gotten, and that's just because of it's been sitting in the milk for a while. And I'm just going to mix this together before I add the flour, and it's probably going to be easier for me to do off camera because this is hard to do with one hand, and it looks kind of gross right now. It looks almost like a chocolate pudding, I guess. But trust me, these are so yummy. Okay, so now that's all mixed together, and here's another thing about the muffin method of baking. You don't have to add things proportionally, like start adding the flour a little at a time and get that mixed in, and then add something else, and then add more flour. No, you just dump all of the flour mixture into your bowl. Ooh, that's going to be a big bowl. I should have gotten a bigger bowl. And then just mix it all in. And like I said, you don't want to over mix it. So I'm going to do this off camera because this is going to be a lot. And just mix it to barely come together. If you still see a little bit of flour, that's okay. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. And you know, as I was starting to mix this, I was thinking, I have a special tool for this. I don't know what this is called right offhand. I'll look it up. But I actually have two of these. These are special whisks. I think they're Danish. But one is for breads, the bigger one, and one is actually for muffins. Although I'm going to use the bigger one because, excuse me, I have just such a large quantity here. I got these for like $20 a piece, $15, $20 a piece on Amazon a few years ago. And sorry about that, I had an interruption. So I'm actually going to use these for this, and it comes together just so quickly. I can probably even show you, I'll mix all that, how quickly it comes together. It pulls everything in, and I just absolutely love these. Anytime I'm making bread doughs by hand, I use these. I sometimes forget that I have them because I do use my KitchenAid so often. But this is just really working up well, and it will not, or it'll help me not to over mix the dough. See how quickly that's coming together? It's just amazing. And I'll look this up and find out what these are called. Woo! But it's just amazing. I love this thing. And like I said, I have the two of them. This one's the larger size is normally for breads, but you can certainly see that I'm using this for the muffins, and it's coming together really well. This is normally the muffin size. Okay. So I have scraped everything off of my spoon, and I have mixed everything together. This is almost what it should look like. I think because I had so much in there, the liquid might be just a little bit off. So I'm going to add a little bit of milk, just a couple of splashes at a time, until I get it to the right consistency. So I'll do that, and I'll bring you back and show you exactly what it's supposed to look like. Okay, I added probably about 1/4 cup of milk. Not a lot for this thick batter, but you see how it's still really thick, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like really wet like pancake or cake dough or cake batter. Okay, so now I have my trusty scoop, and I'm going to put, I don't really measure this, I just put it in there till it's almost to the top. I'll probably do one big thing at a time on all of them. And you can see I've sprayed the muffin tins, or the liners. I've lined them with the liners and then sprayed them with in that as well. You could measure this exactly with this, and this is really what this is for, to do perfect muffins every time. I find, especially if I'm doing larger quantities of things, that it helps to just get it to the right size, get everything even. So I'm going to bring everything just under the top, or just under the level mark. That might be a little too much. I'll have to even that out. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these up, and I'll show you right before they go in the oven. Okay, all filled nicely, and these are just the plain muffins, and that's it. And then you bake them at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to get these in, and then I will show you the next version. Okay, here is the first batch of the muffins. I just took them out of the oven. They are steaming hot, and they are perfect. See how they rise with the extra kick of the baking soda in with the buttermilk. So I'm going to let these cool, I'm not going to let them cool completely, just a couple of minutes, just enough where I can actually take them out, hold them and take them out, and then I'm going to prep my pan for the next batch. Okay, so for the next batch, what I've done is I've taken my batter and I've divided it as evenly as I could between this bowl and this one. May not be exactly even, that's okay, really don't care. I'm just doing it as best I can. So what I'm going to add to each one of those is going to be a little bit different. So the first one that I'm going to do, I'm going to do this one first, I guess. Let me get my spoon. Get off of there, you. Okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of cinnamon, and I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to take about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I've got about, I guess about a half a cup of raisins, and maybe a third of a cup of peanut butter chips. And I'm going to mix these together. Stop it! I am not coordinated today. And I'm going to take just a little bit of flour and mix it together with these. I put the cinnamon in here to kind of help it out a little bit. So, I mean, not even, oops, I can't get enough. There we go. Not even like a teaspoon of flour, I think will do the trick. And I'm going to mix this all together. The reason that you do this step is if the morsels, whatever you're adding to your dough or batter has something to stick to it, it won't all float to the bottom. With this dough or batter, it's really so thick it probably wouldn't matter anyway, but I'm taking this step just in case because I want my peanut butter chips and raisins to be throughout my muffins. I don't want them to be like just at the bottom. So neat little trick, and I figured since I was adding cinnamon I would do this at the same time. And then, oops, one is escaping. So you don't put enough in there to actually change the consistency of the batter, but just enough to coat your raisins and peanut butter pieces. And that's another reason that I went ahead and added a little more milk to this, because I knew that I was going to be adding things to these next ones and adding flour to it so it could take it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to add these raisins and peanut butter chips to this and mix it around, and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, here is the second batch, fresh out of the oven, looking lovely. They smell so good. So I'm going to do the same thing, let these cool for a few minutes, and then take them out and prepare the pan for the last batch. You can see I didn't get these quite as even as the first batch, but oh well, it's not going into a magazine, it's going in my kids' bellies. So for the last batch, I have my third batch of batter. And to that, I'm going to take 2 bananas that I had in the freezer. Sometimes you may see on my other videos that I will take one of my bananas, get pretty close to over-ripening. I will peel them and put them in the freezer for smoothies, and lately I've been making banana ice cream, and that's on my list to show this month. But sorry, my throat is starting to really hurt. But anyway, these are 2 bananas that I took out at the beginning of this process, and So they've completely thawed now, and I'm just mashing them up in my bowl, and I'm going to get all that liquid. And so I'll probably finish this off camera because I want it to be really smooth before I put it in the muffin batter, because once again I don't want to stir too much, so I'll do that off camera. And then I've taken about a cup, maybe a little bit less, of chocolate chips, and once again I put some flour on it, and I'm going to put those in with the bananas and the muffins, and it's gonna be yummy. So I'll get all this together and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, this is the last batch getting ready to go in the oven. You'll see this one is really full because the banana was really moist. It added a lot of liquid to the batter, and then when I put the flour in with the chocolate chips, it just kind of added to everything. It's going to be fun. There was very little waste. See, I got it all out. And some got on my fingers, and I'm just sorry to say that I had to taste it, and it is delicious. But I'm going to stick these in the oven again for 20 minutes, clean up my mess, and then I'll show you the final product. Okay, I just took the third batch out of the oven, and they are lovely. They smell awesome. So I've got one of each kind on the plate. This one is the original. Let's do it first, and I'll just try to break it open so that you can see. You can see why I like these to spray the liners. They just come out with almost nothing sticking to them. Usually when I do that, it just comes out like halfway stuck to the paper. Just beautiful, dense, but light. It's very, very chewy, and the kids really don't know that they're eating anything healthy. That's why I love it. Okay. You know, that was my favorite when I was a kid. And I told my husband when I made them the other day, although by the time I got finished with them, they weren't all that healthy because I smothered them in butter. But I don't share that with the kids. Okay, now here's the peanut butter chip and raisin one. And let me break that open so you can see. See the chips in there? They did not sink all the way to the bottom. They're all the way at the top. Oh, yam. That's really good. I've never made these like that before. Let me have a raisin. That was just peanut butter. That's yummy. Alright, now this one's a little hot because it just came out of the oven. But I'm going to try to do it as well. And this is the banana and chocolate chip one. I should probably let it cool a little bit, but I'm not. I'm just going to rip it open here at the top. Woo, see all that steam coming out? Alright, let me taste this one. Oh, that is so good. I really like that. And I didn't even get a chocolate chip in that one. And that was just banana. That's really good. So I hope you try these. I hope you like them. And if you you can Google the recipe if you want to tweak it in any different ways. I just kind of put in what I have. And that's how I like to do things. If I had some blueberries in the freezer, I would have put blueberries in one of them, but I don't. So I just did the bananas. And while I was thinking about it, and I've sat here and eaten almost this whole chocolate banana one, I did a quick search on Amazon, and those dough whisks are called Danish dough whisks. And I was really way off on the price. They're not as expensive as I thought they were. The 11-inch one is, looking here, it's between $7 and $9, depending on who you buy it from, plus shipping, unless you're a Prime member. And the large 14-inch one is about $11 plus shipping. So they are still available. They are great. I love it. I do use it quite often, but specifically when I'm doing, not often when I'm doing breads, usually when I'm doing muffins, or sometimes when doing pancakes, things like that. Although there are a couple of recipes that I have found when I'm making bread really do better if I mix the dough by hand, so I will use that in that regard, instead of my KitchenAid. Okay, well, that's my muffin video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it. Let me know if you like it, and let me know if you would like to see more videos like this, and you can click the like button and please subscribe. I'd love to have you on board for all the fun. Thanks so much for watching. Fly high, Pooh Bear.